Baseball in St. Louis isn't just a sport, it's a heartbeat. The Cardinals aren't just a team, they're a tradition that's been passed down for generations. From World Series glory to unforgettable plays that became legends, the franchise has been home to some of the greatest players the game has ever seen. The Cardinals aren't just one of baseball's most successful franchises, they're a dynasty built on grit, heart, and loyalty. From the Gas House Gang of the 1930s, to the dominance of Stan the Man, to the magic of Ozzie Smith, and the unforgettable reign of Albert Pujols, Cardinals been home to legends who defined eras. Today we're counting down the 30 greatest players in Cardinals history, the men who didn't just play the game, but forever shaped what it means to be a Cardinal. Number 30, Bruce Sutter. When the game reached its most intense moments, when the pressure was at its peak and the margin for error disappeared, the Cardinals turned to Bruce Sutter. Sutter wasn't just a closer, he was a pioneer, armed with a devastating split-finger fastball, a pitch that seemed to vanish as it reached the plate. He redefined what it meant to finish games. Hitters knew what was coming and still couldn't stop it. After joining the Cardinals in 1981, Sutter quickly became the backbone of their bullpen. In 1982, he saved 36 games and played a critical role in leading St. Louis to a World Series championship. That season, every late inning felt shorter. Every lead felt safer because Sutter was waiting. He led the National League in saves multiple times during his career and won the Cy Young Award in 1979, becoming one of the first relief pitchers to earn that honor. But more than the numbers, it was his presence that defined him. Calm, unshakable, inevitable. When Bruce Sutter stepped onto the mound, the game was as good as over. Number 29, Marty Marion. They called him the Octopus, not for his bat, but for his extraordinary glove. Marty Marion was one of the finest defensive shortstops of his era, anchoring the St. Louis Cardinals infield during one of the franchise's most dominant periods in the 1940s. Marion's defensive prowess was matched by his leadership. He played a crucial role in 3 World Series championships, 1942, 1944, and 1946, and earned the National League Most Valuable Player Award in 1944, a rare honor for a player whose primary contributions came with the glove rather than the bat. Known for his exceptional range, instincts, and ability to anticipate plays, Marion made his team better simply by being on the field. He didn't need to be flashy, he just made the plays that mattered, setting a standard for defensive excellence at shortstop and leaving an enduring legacy as one of the most respected and indispensable Cardinals in franchise history. Number 28, Jesse Haynes. Consistency is one of the most underrated traits in baseball, and Jesse Haynes embodied it perfectly. Pitching for the St. Louis Cardinals from 1920 to 1937, Haynes quietly forged a Hall of Fame career built on dependability, intelligence, and poise on the mound. Over his 17-year tenure, he won 210 games for St. Louis, including multiple 20-win seasons, establishing himself as one of the franchise's most reliable starters. Haynes played a key role in the 1926 World Series championship, delivering quality innings in crucial moments and providing the Cardinals with a steady presence that anchored the rotation. Though he lacked overpowering velocity, Haynes excelled through control, craftiness, and mental toughness. He could pitch deep into games, manage pressure situations, and guide younger teammates, offering the calm leadership that every championship caliber team requires. His quiet excellence and unwavering consistency left a lasting legacy, making him one of the most respected pitchers in Cardinals history. Number 27, Chick Hafey. In an era dominated by contact hitting, Chick Hafey stood out for his rare ability to drive the ball with authority. Playing for the St. Louis Cardinals in the late 1920s and early 1930s, Hafey quickly became one of the National League's most productive and feared hitters. His finest season came in 1931 when he won the NL batting title with a remarkable .349 average and played a key role in guiding the Cardinals to a World Series championship. Hafey's combination of power and consistency was exceptional for the era, as most hitters focus primarily on contact rather than extra base hits. Beyond the numbers, Hafey's approach at the plate set him apart. He could deliver in high-pressure situations, producing timely hits that changed the course of games. His bat was a cornerstone of the Cardinals' offense, helping establish one of the franchise's earliest golden eras and leaving a lasting mark on St. Louis baseball history. Number 26, Scott Rowland. Scott Rowland brought a modern edge to St. Louis Cardinals baseball, a rare combination of power, elite defense, and fiery intensity. At third base, Rowland was nothing short of outstanding, earning 8 Gold Glove awards over his career, and consistently shutting down opposing hitters with his exceptional range and arm strength. His contributions were pivotal during the Cardinals' 2006 World Series championship run. That season, Rowland hit 22 home runs and drove in 95 runs, providing crucial offensive production while anchoring the infield with remarkable defensive play. Beyond statistics, his presence brought energy and leadership, setting the tone for teammates and helping foster a winning culture. Rowland's competitiveness and championship mindset defined the Cardinals of that era. He played with passion, demanded excellence, and elevated everyone around him. His blend of skill, intensity, and professionalism cemented his legacy as one of the most impactful and respected players in franchise history. Number 25, Jim Bottomley. In the late 1920s, Jim Bottomley established himself as one of the most feared hitters in baseball. As a cornerstone of the St. Louis Cardinals' legendary Gash House Gang era, Bottomley combined power, consistency, and clutch ability to dominate National League pitching. His standout season came in 1928 when he won the National League Most Valuable Player award after hitting .325 with 31 home runs and driving in 136 runs. That year, Bottomley's offensive production was central to the Cardinals' success, as his bat consistently delivered in critical moments and high-pressure situations. Renowned for his ability to perform in clutch spots, Bottomley was a feared presence in the lineup who could change the course of a game with a single swing. Over his career, he helped lead the Cardinals to multiple pennants and became a defining figure of his generation. His combination of power, consistency, and leadership made him one of the most important and respected players in baseball history, leaving an enduring legacy in St. Louis. Number 24, Frankie Frisch. Few players have ever influenced a team the way Frankie Frisch did. Known as the Fordham Flash, Frisch was a dynamic second baseman whose combination of speed, hitting prowess, and on-field intelligence set him apart during the golden era of baseball. After joining the St. Louis Cardinals in the 1920s, Frisch quickly became the heartbeat of the legendary Gash House Gang, a team defined by grit, hustle, and swagger. His ability to get on base, steal crucial runs, and make game-changing defensive plays made him indispensable. Frisch's leadership extended beyond raw performance. In 1931, he earned the National League Most Valuable Player award, and throughout his tenure, he helped guide the Cardinals to multiple National League pennants and World Series championships. He commanded respect in the clubhouse and on the field, setting the tone with his relentless style of play. His energy, strategic mind, and tenacity not only elevated his teammates, but also left a lasting imprint on the Cardinals' identity. Frisch became a model of excellence and leadership, remembered as one of baseball's most respected and influential figures, whose impact shaped the game for generations. Number 23, Vince Coleman. Speed changes everything, and Vince Coleman changed games with every step he took. As a key figure for the St. Louis Cardinals in the mid-1980s, Coleman became one of the most electrifying players the sport had ever seen, turning base running into a constant threat that opposing teams struggled to contain. His impact was immediate. In 1985, as a rookie, he stole an incredible 110 bases, earning National League Rookie of the Year honors, and instantly establishing himself as the fastest man in baseball. Remarkably, he followed that season with 107 stolen bases in 1986 and 109 more in 1987, a level of consistency that remains almost unmatched in modern baseball. Coleman's speed didn't just add numbers, it changed strategy. Pitchers rushed their deliveries, catchers hurried their throws, and defenses constantly adjusted, often leading to mistakes. Once he reached base, the pressure he created could shift the entire momentum of a game. He was a vital piece of Cardinals teams that reached the World Series in 1985 and 1987, embodying a style of play built on speed, aggression, and precision. Coleman didn't just run, he dictated the game with it, leaving behind a legacy as one of the greatest base stealers in baseball history. Number 22, Ray Lankford. For over a decade, Ray Lankford was one of the most dependable and productive players in the St. Louis Cardinals lineup. Playing primarily throughout the 1990s, Lankford developed into a rare blend of power and speed, consistently contributing in multiple areas of the game. He recorded several seasons with more than 20 home runs while also stealing double-digit bases, making him a constant threat both at the plate and on the base paths. By the time his Cardinals career concluded, Lankford had hit 238 home runs, placing him among the franchise's all-time leaders and cementing his place in team history. Yet his impact went beyond statistics. He brought balance to the lineup, delivering timely hits, working counts, and providing stability during a transitional era for the organization. Despite his production, Lankford often flew under the radar, overshadowed by bigger national names. But within St. Louis, his value was undeniable. He was steady, reliable, and quietly excellent, the type of player every successful team depends on. Over time, that consistency built a legacy that remains deeply respected by Cardinals fans and historians alike. Number 21, Harry Brechin. When the games mattered most, Harry Brechin delivered with calm precision and unshakable confidence. A key member of the St. Louis Cardinals during the 1940s, the left-hander became known not for overpowering hitters, but for outthinking them in the most crucial moments. His greatest achievement came in the 1946 World Series against the Boston Red Sox, where Brechin rose to the occasion in spectacular fashion. He won 3 games in that series, a remarkable feat that played a decisive role in securing the championship for St. Louis. Each outing showcased his intelligence, control, and ability to adjust under pressure, proving that composure could be just as deadly as velocity. Brechin relied on sharp command, changing speeds, and keeping hitters off balance rather than relying on sheer power. That approach made him especially effective in high-stakes situations where one mistake could change everything. In an era filled with talented pitchers, Harry Brechin stood out for his poise when it mattered most. He didn't just pitch, he mastered the art of winning under pressure, leaving behind a legacy defined by clutch performances and championship success. Number 20, Adam Wainwright. Adam Wainwright was the kind of pitcher you wanted on the mound when everything was on the line. With that signature looping curveball, a pitch that seemed to defy gravity, he built a career filled with unforgettable moments. The image of him freezing Carlos Beltran in the 2006 NLCS to send the Cardinals to the World Series is forever etched in franchise history. Over 18 remarkable seasons in St. Louis, Waino racked up 200 wins, earned 3 All-Star selections, and became the anchor of the rotation for over a decade. But Wainwright was more than just numbers. He was a leader, a mentor, and a fighter who battled through injuries and setbacks, always coming back stronger. His loyalty to St. Louis, his connection with the fans, and his heart on his sleeve style of play turned him into something greater than a pitcher. Adam Wainwright became a symbol of resilience, class, and what it truly means to be a Cardinal. Number 19, Chris Carpenter. Chris Carpenter's career was nothing short of a storybook, one filled with comebacks, grit, and an unshakable will to compete. Injuries constantly tried to derail him, but every time he stepped back on the mound, he reminded everyone just how dominant he could be. In 2005, Carpenter captured the Cy Young Award, establishing himself as one of the fiercest aces in baseball. He wasn't just a pitcher, he was a warrior. Carpenter's fire and intensity burned brightest in October. He was the emotional and physical backbone of the Cardinals' 2006 and 2011 World Series championship runs. What set Carpenter apart wasn't just the velocity on his fastball or the sharp bite of his cutter, it was his mentality. He carried himself with a fearless edge, the kind of competitor who refused to back down, no matter the stakes. To fans, Chris Carpenter wasn't just an ace, he was the embodiment of toughness, heart, and championship pedigree. Number 18, Johnny Mize. Before he was enshrined in Cooperstown, Johnny Mize was making his name as one of the most dangerous bats in the National League, right in the heart of St. Louis. Nicknamed the Big Cat for his smooth fielding at first base and his powerful, graceful swing, Mize was the kind of hitter who could change a game with one swing of the bat. In his 6 seasons with the Cardinals during the late 1930s and early 1940s, he piled up 158 home runs in that span. What made Mize special was the way he made hitting look effortless. Even though much of his Hall of Fame career unfolded after a trade to the New York Giants, Mize's years in St. Louis laid the foundation for his legendary status. For Cardinals fans of that era, Johnny Mize wasn't just another star. He was a beacon of power in a time when sluggers were rare. His legacy in St. Louis may have been shorter than fans wished, but his impact remains etched in the franchise's proud history. Number 17, Red Shane Dienst. Few figures in baseball history have been as intertwined with one franchise as Red was with the St. Louis Cardinals. To call him just a player or just a manager would be selling him short. Red was a Cardinal in every possible sense of the word, a living bridge across generations of fans and players. As a player, Shane Dienst was the epitome of consistency and reliability. A slick fielding second baseman with a steady bat, he made 10 All-Star teams during his 19-year career. His defensive instincts, quick hands, and knack for doing the little things right made him a cornerstone of the Cardinals in the 1940s and 1950s. In 1946, he was a key piece of the team that captured the World Series championship, helping to bring St. Louis its 6th title. And still, even beyond the glory years as player and manager, Shane Dienst remained ever present. For over 70 years, he wore the birds on the bat in some capacity: coach, advisor, mentor. Number 16, Keith Hernandez. Keith Hernandez wasn't just a first baseman, he was an artist with a glove. Widely regarded as one of the greatest defensive first basemen the game has ever seen, but Hernandez wasn't only about defense. In 1979, he was named the National League's most valuable player, an honor he shared with Pittsburgh's Willie Stargell. That season solidified Hernandez as not just a defensive marvel, but a complete player who could carry a team offensively as well. From 1978 to 1983, he won 6 consecutive Gold Gloves in St. Louis, and his presence in the lineup and on the field helped guide the Cardinals during a period of transition, setting the stage for the success that would follow in the 1980s. His leadership, professionalism, and baseball IQ left a deep imprint on the clubhouse. For Cardinals fans, he wasn't just a star, he was a standard bearer for what it meant to combine style, substance, and heart every time he stepped onto the field. Number 15, Curt Flood. Curt Flood wasn't just a center fielder. He was the heartbeat of the Cardinals outfield during the 1960s, and a man whose courage changed the very structure of baseball. He won 7 consecutive Gold Gloves. Curt Flood was a central figure in the Cardinals' golden era, helping lead the team to World Series championships in 1964 and 1967, and another pennant in 1968. In the biggest moments, he was steady, reliable, and a leader who gave the Cardinals confidence that the middle of the outfield was always locked down. History has remembered him as a trailblazer, a man whose courage gave future generations of players the right to control their own careers. For Cardinals fans, Curt Flood will always be remembered as more than just a 3-time All-Star and defensive wizard. He was a champion on the field and a pioneer off it, a man whose courage and conviction changed baseball forever. Number 14, Joe Medwick. Joe Medwick, better known as Ducky, was one of the brightest stars of the Cardinals' famed Gash House Gang in the 1930s, and his bat made him one of the most feared hitters in the game. In 1937, Medwick etched his name into baseball history by winning the National League Triple Crown. That year, he was also named the league's MVP, cementing himself as the centerpiece of a Cardinals lineup that opponents dreaded facing. Medwick's intensity sometimes rubbed opponents the wrong way, but for Cardinals fans, it was part of his charm. His contributions helped the Cardinals capture the 1934 World Series, a title run remembered for its grit as much as its talent. As the last National League player to win the Triple Crown, Medwick's legacy has stood the test of time. He was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 1968, but in St. Louis, his memory lives on as one of the great power hitters and colorful characters in franchise history. Number 13, Jim Edmonds. Known for his jaw-dropping diving catches and his smooth left-handed swing, Edmonds became one of the cornerstones of the Cardinals during the 2000s. During his tenure with Cardinals, he hit more than 30 home runs in 5 different seasons, anchoring the middle of the lineup during the Cardinals' most successful stretch of the 2000s. And then there was October 2004, a postseason moment etched in Cardinals lore. Edmonds delivered one of the most iconic swings in franchise history, a walk-off, extra-inning home run that sent Busch Stadium into chaos. His highlight catches and clutch postseason moments ensure that his legacy lives on as one of the great all-around players in team history. Number 12, Ken Boyer. Ken Boyer was the heart of the Cardinals during the 1960s, the kind of player every great team needs: steady, reliable, and unshakable when the pressure was highest. His defensive brilliance earned him 5 Gold Gloves, and his strong arm and quick reflexes made him a nightmare for hitters who dared test the hot corner. But Boyer's value went far beyond defense. He was one of the most consistent run producers of his era, hitting 255 home runs and driving in more than 1,000 runs in a Cardinals uniform. His crowning moment came in 1964 when Boyer carried the Cardinals to a World Series championship. Today, Boyer's name still resonates in Cardinals lore as one of the franchise's true cornerstones, a model of consistency, class, and clutch performance. Number 11. Ted Simmons. Ted Simmons may be one of the most underrated superstars in baseball history, but in Cardinals, his greatness never went unnoticed. A switch-hitting catcher with rare offensive talent, Simmons spent 13 seasons in a Cardinals uniform, quietly building a resume that rivaled the best of his generation. He was a 6-time All-Star in St. Louis and a constant offensive force who could hit for both average and power. It took far too long, but in 2020, Simmons was finally recognized for what he truly was, a Hall of Famer. His induction served as validation for a career that, while overshadowed during his playing days, stands as one of the finest ever by a catcher. For the Cardinals, Simmons remains a symbol of consistency, toughness, and excellence, a player whose impact is still being fully appreciated today. Number 10. Yadier Molina. Yadier Molina became the face of the Cardinals for nearly 2 decades. Yadier Molina wasn't just a catcher, he was the soul of the St. Louis Cardinals. From the moment he put on the gear, pitchers knew they were in safe hands. His arm was a weapon, his game calling was unmatched, and his leadership made him one of the most respected players in all of baseball. 9 Gold Gloves, 10 All-Star appearances, and 2 World Series championships only scratched the surface of his impact. Molina had a way of controlling the game that never showed up in a box score, framing pitches to perfection, guiding young pitchers through the storm, and coming up big in the clutch. But beyond the hardware and highlights, Molina was about trust. Fans trusted him, teammates trusted him. For the Cardinals, he was more than a player, he was family. And when people look back at the Cardinals' history, Yadi's name will forever stand tall among the legends. Number 9. Dizzy Dean. Dizzy Dean wasn't just a pitcher, he was a force of nature. As the fiery ace of the Gash House gang, he brought swagger, confidence, and a touch of mischief every time he took the mound. In 1934, Dean etched his name into baseball history by winning 30 games, a feat no National League pitcher has accomplished since. That season, he didn't just pile up wins, he carried the Cardinals to a World Series title, earning the league MVP in the process. But Dean's legacy wasn't only about numbers, he had a flair for the dramatic and a personality that made fans fall in love with him. Even when injuries cut his career short, Dean refused to fade quietly. He stayed in the game as a broadcaster, where his colorful storytelling and down-to-earth humor turned him into a folk hero all over again. To Cardinals fans, Dizzy wasn't just a ball player, he was entertainment, heart and spirit rolled into one. Unforgettable both on and off the mound, Dean remains one of the most iconic figures not only in Cardinals history, but in all of baseball. Number 8. Enos Slaughter. Enos Slaughter embodied everything Cardinals baseball stood for: hustle, grit, and an unwavering determination to win. No moment captured his spirit more than the legendary Mad Dash in Game 7 of the 1946 World Series. With the score tied late in the game, Slaughter took off from first base on a line drive single to left center. While most runners would have stopped at third, Slaughter never hesitated. He rounded the bases at full speed, sliding home safely to score the winning run and deliver the Cardinals another championship. That single play etched his name permanently into baseball folklore, but Slaughter's career was much more than one daring dash. A 10-time All-Star, he spent 13 seasons with the Cardinals and helped the team capture 2 World Series titles. For fans, he wasn't just another great ball player, he was the heartbeat of the team during the 1940s, a man who never stopped running, never stopped fighting, and never stopped believing. To this day, Enos Slaughter remains one of the most beloved figures in Cardinals history. Number 7. Lou Brock. The Cardinals pulled off the trade for Lou Brock in 1964. It was more than just a transaction. It was a turning point in franchise history. At the time, many questioned the deal, but it quickly became one of the most lopsided and legendary trades in baseball history. What the Cardinals gained was not just a player, but an electrifying force who would redefine what it meant to be a leadoff hitter. Brock wasn't just fast, he was breathtakingly fast, with blazing speed and fearless instincts. He stole 50 or more bases in a season 12 times, leading the league 8 times, and his daring base running became the engine that powered the Cardinals' offense. In October, when the lights were brightest, he shined even brighter. During the Cardinals' World Series runs in 1964 and 1967, Brock was unstoppable. He wasn't just playing the game, he was changing it. For Cardinals fans, Lou Brock symbolized excitement, energy, and excellence. To this day, when people talk about the art of base running and the heart of Cardinals baseball, Lou Brock's name is at the very top. Number 6. Mark McGwire. When Mark McGwire arrived in St. Louis in the summer of 1997, he brought with him something the Cardinals had never truly seen before: unlimited, jaw-dropping power. Fans knew he could hit home runs, but no one could have predicted just how much he would change the atmosphere at Busch Stadium. The peak came in 1998, a season that captivated not only Cardinals fans, but the entire nation. Chasing Roger Maris' single-season record of 61 home runs, McGwire turned every game into must-watch television. By the time the season ended, McGwire had finished with an unprecedented 70 home runs, a number that seemed almost unfathomable. Over his tenure with St. Louis, McGwire hit 220 home runs in just 545 games, an astonishing pace that showcased the most concentrated power surge the franchise has ever seen. Of course, his legacy is complicated. The steroid controversy has cast a shadow over his career, and debates about his place in baseball history continue to this day. But fans remember the electricity he brought to the ballpark and the way he revitalized the spirit of the game. For a few magical summers, Mark McGwire wasn't just a Cardinal, he was the face of baseball, and his era remains etched into the fabric of the franchise's history. Number 5. Ozzie Smith. The Wizard of Oz didn't just play shortstop, he redefined it. When Ozzie Smith took the field, he turned defense into an art form and baseball into pure theater. With his signature pregame backflips and his unmatched athleticism, Ozzie brought a sense of magic to Busch Stadium every single night. He wasn't just reliable at shortstop, he was spectacular, making plays that seemed impossible. Diving in the hole, leaping high for line drives, flipping across second base to start double plays. Smith did it all with a flair no one had ever seen before. Over his career, Ozzie won 13 consecutive Gold Gloves, a record for shortstops, cementing him as the greatest defensive player the position has ever known. He collected over 2,400 hits, stole nearly 600 bases, and became the spark at the top and bottom of the lineup that kept St. Louis's offense moving. By the time he retired, Ozzie Smith wasn't just a Hall of Famer, he was a performer, an icon, and one of the most beloved figures ever to wear the birds on the bat. He didn't just play the game, he enchanted it. Number 4. Rogers Hornsby. Rogers Hornsby was perhaps the purest hitter the game has ever seen. His career batting average still ranks second in Major League history, trailing only Ty Cobb, and he remains the gold standard for offensive dominance. Hornsby wasn't just good, he was extraordinary, posting numbers that seem almost unreal even today. Hornsby paired his incredible average with power, leading the league in home runs, RBIs, doubles, and just about every offensive category during his prime. Hornsby's impact went beyond individual brilliance. In 1926, he served as player manager and guided the Cardinals to their very first World Series championship. By the time his career in St. Louis was done, Rogers Hornsby had built a resume that was untouchable: 2 MVP awards, 2 Triple Crowns, and a reputation as the greatest right-handed hitter who ever lived. For the Cardinals, he was more than just a star. He was the man who helped establish the winning tradition that still defines the franchise today. Number 3. Albert Pujols. Albert Pujols didn't just hit, he devastated pitchers. In his prime, he was arguably the most feared right-handed batter in the game. Over a 22-year career, Pujols smashed 703 home runs, drove in 2,218 RBIs, second most in history, and recorded 3,384 hits, a combination of milestones reached by only the rarest legends. He won 3 MVP awards and a batting title, while also earning 6 Silver Sluggers, 11 All-Star selections, and 2 Gold Gloves at first base. But it wasn't just the numbers. From 2001 to 2011, Pujols averaged 40 home runs, 120 RBIs, and a .328 average. Statistically, one of the most dominant 11-year stretches in MLB history. He helped lead the St. Louis Cardinals to 2 World Series titles and was the heart of their lineup for over a decade. Even in the twilight of his career, Pujols' return to St. Louis felt like the closing chapter of a baseball fairy tale. His legacy? Pure excellence, sustained power, and grace over 2 decades. Number 2, Bob Gibson. If intimidation had a face on the pitcher's mound, it would be Bob Gibson. Known for his explosive fastball and relentless competitive fire, Gibson spent his entire 17-year career with the St. Louis Cardinals, becoming one of the most feared pitchers of the 1960s and 70s. In 1968, he had perhaps the most dominant season in modern baseball history, finishing with a 1.12 ERA, 268 strikeouts, and 13 shutouts. That season was so overpowering, Major League Baseball literally lowered the mound the next year to give hitters a fighting chance. Gibson won 2 Cy Young Awards, 2 World Series MVPs, and struck out 17 batters in a single World Series game, a record that still stands. He finished his career with 251 wins, 3,117 strikeouts, and 56 shutouts. But Gibson's greatness was about more than numbers. He intimidated hitters, attacked the strike zone, and refused to back down. He wasn't just dominant, he was legendary. He was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 1981. Number 1, Stan Musial. Stan Musial was the perfect combination of power, precision, and poise. Over a staggering 22-year career with the St. Louis Cardinals, Stan the Man compiled 3,630 hits with an exact split, 1,815 at home, 1,815 on the road. Symbolizing the remarkable consistency that defined him, he hit .331 lifetime, clubbed 475 home runs, and drove in 1,951 RBIs, earning 3 MVP awards, 7 batting titles, and 24 All-Star selections. That's not a typo. 24. Musial was a quiet giant, a man who never sought attention but whose numbers demanded it. He led the Cardinals to 3 World Series titles and was so respected that opposing fans cheered for him. Musial didn't play for records or headlines, he played for excellence. His legacy is one of class, humility, and unrelenting production. He didn't need controversy or drama to be remembered, just a sweet swing and a smile that defined a generation. And that's our look at the 20 greatest players in St. Louis Cardinals history. Which Cardinal legend is your favorite? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss another deep dive into baseball's greatest stories.